What's going on YouTube? My home theater cost about $10,000, but my speakers about $1,500. So tonight we're going to see if that is enough. Tonight I'm going to be watching Avengers Infinity War, and I'm going to test out the home theater cinematic environment that I tried to create. And I'm going to see if this $1,500 Thunderbeat sound system is enough. And I'll be watching the IMAX enhanced version on Disney Plus, and I'll give my review on how I think these satellite speakers and this 8-inch sub handles this movie. Let's get into it. So I already wanted to pause the movie. I'm about a couple minutes in, and you know it's the scene where Thanos' ship comes on the Asgardian ship, and there's this very low rumble. It's almost quiet, but you can kind of feel a little low rumble, and I can actually feel that from this 8-inch sub, which is surprising because it would seem like it'd be too low for this. It's very subtle with this sub. I do have the volume at an average level. I'm not raising the volume any crazily, but I can still feel it, which I was actually surprised that I can feel it a little bit. But I can only imagine what a 12-inch sub would do. You would really feel that. It would make this scene way more cinematic and intense, and you would feel the suspense emotion way more. So although I can feel that it's supposed to be there, I don't think it's hitting like it's supposed to. If that makes sense.
Kill away. I'm North Asgardian, and for another, we have the Hulk.
Let him have his fun.
Let the dark magic flow through me before I lost time.
So still closer to the beginning of the movie, but there's a scene where there's some bass, and it sounds good. This 8-inch actually sounds good, but what my opinion about this system is the 8-inch overpowers the satellites, which is kind of to be expected on paper. It is what it is. But I can tell because there would be good bass, and then, for example, something happened and there were some strings right after. Dun, dun, dun. And you can tell they weren't low enough for the sub to handle. They were supposed to come from the mid-range and from the satellites. And you hear, good thumping bass, and then you hear the strings. And they were very underwhelming. It was just like very good low sub. And then you can hear the strings kind of like faded a little bit back and light. Like, I know how that's supposed to sound. It's supposed to be as aggressive as the sub and give you that emotion of what just happened, and it did not at all. It completely missed the ball on that. So I feel like that's going to be the theme for this movie. The sub is probably going to do pretty well. It's going to be lacking a little bit of dialogue, a little bit of that front and center feeling, and I guess we're just going to watch the rest and see if I'm right. Alright, so that amazing movie is over, and I think, there's a lot still to be desired with this audio system. The dialogue was severely lacking. The quiet parts, or the speaking parts, I felt like I needed to turn up, but then when something that required bass would come in, I thought that would be overly too loud. They were completely separated. Now EQ may have fixed that if I would have tinkered with it for a little bit, but I just listened to these straight out of the box. And let's keep in mind though, I am using these in a very large room. They are, I believe, 3.5 or 4-inch satellite speakers with an 8-inch sub, and I'm using it in a 27 by 13.5 room. extremely large. These are most likely created to be made in a living room and a smaller room than what I have now. So I am stretching the capabilities of these things. They came with the projector, so I wanted to test them out. I will be upgrading these. I do have a surprise for you guys, and I will be repurposing these in our living room. So I'm not getting rid of them. I believe they will sound good in the right environment and in the right room and with a little bit of EQ. But I can still watch the movie. It was still enjoyable, but I can definitely tell where things were lacking as far as a cinematic, immersive feel. And I think upgrading these speakers will do this movie theater justice. So, again, the sub was great. The 8-inch subwoofer was great, but the dialogue from the satellite speakers were kind of lacking. All of the mids were lacking. There was a lot of instrumentation in Infinity War, so you would have the bass come in, and then you would have the strings come in, and you could tell that the strings were just at a quieter level than all of the bass coming in, and they weren't as forward, which means the mids aren't as present as the basses. So yeah, I'm curious to see how these will sound in my living room. In this current environment, I would give the Thunderbeat 5.1.2 system a 6.8 out of 10. I'm curious to see again what they sound like in the living room. In a living room, I would probably give these a 9. So we'll see. I may have to test these once my other speakers come in the mail and I move these to the living room. But other than that, stay tuned for some unboxings.